What's going on, guys? Welcome to East West Beats, and today we're going to talk about a reggaeton beat that I put together. Also, I've created a sample pack out of this, so you guys can have the sample pack. Wait till end of the video to find out how you can get a hold of this. Also, I'm going to be giving away this Logic file, so you can use this. You can delete everything that I've done and create your own reggaeton beat with the same presets and all of the same samples that I've used. And also, if you use another third-party instrument like Battery, I will also put the samples so you can load them up in there. I've also made a Battery file so you can just use that to load up the presets and samples into Battery. So let's jump into it. So let's listen to the beat first, and then I'll kind of go through a lot of the processing that I've done on these tracks, as well as the instruments that I've used, the samples that I've used, and I've limited myself to using only Logic Pro plugins as well as Logic Pro samples. Okay, so you guys heard the instrumental, so now let's break down different parts of the beat. First, I have this Pluck layer, and I have a few layers of marimbas, piano, and a kalimba. Normally, any kind of a plucky sound would work for this, so let's listen to the marimba layer just by itself. Alright, so the first thing I have is this Marimba patch. You can see that it's an EXS24 patch with a bit of processing, and then we layer that with this Watery Piano. So let's listen to the marimba first. Okay, and a lot of these reggaeton sounds use these plucky kind of sounds. So any kind of pluck sound would work. If you have a third-party software, third-party synth, you can use that. Here's the Watery Piano. Alright, there's a lot of processing that's going on with that as well. Let's listen to it without any processing. And then we have this tiny kalimba. And that's just giving it that top end shimmer. So when you play all three of those together, this is what it sounds like. And then what I did is, when I put everything together, I wanted to take out a lot of the low end out of this, as well as boost some of the mid ranges. So let's listen to this with and without the EQ. So you can see that as soon as I take off the EQ, there's a lot of low-end mud that comes into the track. Now, I wanted to add some spice and sizzle to this, so I added this retro pluck. It's a pluck melody out of Retro Synth and Logic Pro, and this is what it sounds like. It's simply just playing the arpeggio of the track. Now that follows throughout the whole track, and what I wanted to do with this is I added it to a bus and I bumped up a little bit of the mid-high end a little bit at 5K. So now let's go to the drums of this beat. And these are samples that I have created. I have recorded them, so feel free to download this, and I'll give you directions on how to download them at the end of the video. But it's a simple kick, snare, and everything is processed. So let's listen to the loop. So that's your simple kick and snare for reggaeton. And then what I did is the hi-hat, I added a bit of delay as well as a bit of reverb. That fills in some of the space that normally would be filled by hi-hats. Now you can see that the hi-hat and the percussions come in a little bit later on when the hook part comes in. So let's just mute the snare, kick, and the hi-hat effect, and let's see what the percussion and the cymbal and the hi-hat sounds like. And you can see that both of these actually have a lot of tail to them. Specifically the hi-hat, I added a bit of a spreader, which is in Logic Pro, which makes the sound go sideways. And I don't have it mixed at 100%, I just have it mixed at 9%. But again, play that by ear. You can see that the sound will really get a stereo spread if I put it at 100. Let's listen to it. And the reason for mixing it in just a little bit is to make sure that it's wide, but it's not sucking the life out of it from the middle of the speaker range. So when you play all those together, the drums sound like this. And obviously on the drum track, I have a couple set of EQs where I'm subtracting some frequencies as well as adding some of the high end, and also cutting everything below 200 because I want to have room for the bass. So speaking of bass, let's get to the bass. Now this is a subby bass preset from Logic Pro, so let's listen to what that sounds like. Now that's the bass by itself, but obviously you want to make sure that you are not competing with the kick, and that is when the parallel compression comes in. So let's play the kick and the bass without the parallel compression. They are competing. So the way parallel compression works is it takes a signal, for example, kick in this case, and when kick comes in, every time the compressor detects a kick, it lowers the volume of the bass so the kick can cut through, and then it compresses that part of the signal, and then it decompresses the part of the signal. So let's listen to the way the sub bass is reacting to the kick by opening the compressor. What you would do is you would go to sidechain and you would bring in your kick channel right here by instrument, then you would go to your kick, bring it in. You can see that as soon as you engage the compressor, the kick and the bass sound has its own space in the mix. So let's listen to the track with all of these elements added together. Great. Now let's go to the bridge and the pre, and then the part where these horns come in, which is the melodic drop. Now that's just 3 different set of horns that are coming in. Alright, by itself it sounds empty, but when you add it in with the groove, it really fills up. Now you can hear this clap coming in at the hook part as well. And one of the interesting things about this clap is that I've added a lot of the spreader on it, so the sound is completely coming out of both sides, so the song suddenly gets a feeling of being wider than it is. So let's play this clap. I'm gonna bypass it as we're playing the clap so you can see what the spreader is doing. So you can hear as soon as I engage the spreader, the sound gets wide. And a lot of the reason for these modern songs to be so wide, and sometimes even some of the synth basses are wide, is because you want your vocal, your drums, specifically your kick, hi-hat snare to be sitting in the middle. A lot of the time there's a sub bass layer that's sitting in the middle, but that mid-high range is off to the side. A lot of the harmonics of the basses are coming off the side. A lot of the synths are coming off the side. So you're really having this acoustic experience where the vocal is sitting right in the middle, your groove is in the middle, and then you have these ear candy melodic elements that are coming out of both sides. So let's play this drop and listen to this. Yeah, so that's this beat, and basically once you have this, all you have to do is copy paste and rearrange parts of it, add a bit of a riser, dropper. I haven't used a lot of the white noises effects in this one, but adding that would kind of push the track, push the groove a little forward. Then what I did is I color coded it. I broke things down into drums, my pluck melody, my bass, and my drop melody. So you can see that I only have 5 different elements in here. And the reason I like doing that is, let's say you're recording the track and you feel that the drums need to be a little more tighter, they need to be a little more louder, or when you're recording an artist and they want to hear more of the plucks and not the drums, all you have to do is adjust this if you're recording in this particular session. So now you can see that there's a lot of processing going on to the drop section. So again, I'm boosting a lot of the between 1 to 4, 5,000 and even up to 10,000 frequency. I'm also spreading it so it's wider. I'm compressing it. So let's listen to the drop without and with processing. So let's play it with processing. Now keep in mind this is the bus, so we're going to play it without any kind of processing now. It doesn't have as much of a life as I would want it. Alright, so again, we can do that for almost all the channels where we're going to bypass the effects, and let's see what it sounds like with and without the effects. So you can see that I'm using EQ a lot, and I particularly prefer using the EQ to clean out the sound before I process it. So let's listen to it without any kind of effects first. Alright, and let's add the effects. Alright, and finally the master bus. I'm using a linear EQ to cut out the super high and the super lows. I'm using a limiter to give it a bit of a boost, compressing it, and then also adding another limiter. And then at the end, I have the loudness meter. So let's listen to this with the loudness meter. Now normally you want to shoot for anywhere from 8 to 10 and even 12 in some cases. This particular song was reaching nowhere near that, but again, this was a production. I still would need to get the vocals in. If there were any effects in, that would get put in, and the song would need to get much louder for that. But for the purposes of creating a beat and doing a rough mix down before sending it to an artist or bouncing it down for dubbing, this sounds pretty good, where the artist will be happy and they have a general idea of what the mix will sound like or what the song will sound like once it's recorded and dubbed. So if you like this instrumental, if you like the drum samples and you want to download them for your own use, feel free to use them. I'll leave a link below in the description where you can download the Logic project file as well as the samples. And please share the video with somebody who will find it helpful. If you liked it, please hit a like and subscribe to the channel. It always helps. Until then, I'll see you at the next one. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below and I'll try and either answer or make a video on it. See you guys.